Where did the 3-3 Metaverse Breathing Method come from?
So the 3-3 Metaverse Breathing Method, there's a bit of a backstory behind this. So if I tell a bit about my journey, it give a bit more context. So I've been practicing yoga for the last 25 to 30 years, and I've looked at the contrasts and similarities between the how the Eastern world sees things in Asia and how the UK and the Western world sees things. So I've been able to piece together a very interesting paradigm that basically comes down to the fundamentals of human existence. And one of the key insights I came across was that the atmosphere that we're in, that we live in, is not what you think it is. You might think it's just oxygen and hydrogen and so on, like they teach you in the school book. But actually, there's three main components hidden in this environment, in this atmosphere. And the first thing is light, the second thing is electricity, and the third thing is magnetism. So I got to thinking, well, if all of these things are in the atmosphere at all times, what should our ideal relationship with it be? Because we come across people who are not so well, who fall sick, some who do well, who live long, and who are healthy, and others who don't. Right. So then I begin to realize that in those countries like Japan, where they do meditative practices, and India, where they do yoga and things like that, I realize that there's something here which we're missing, big time. And the school system doesn't teach it. They don't promote that. They don't discuss that at all. So during the pandemic, I was already practicing breathing methods, but I'm also a relationships coach for women. I've been doing that for 15 years. And a lot of women would message me and say, oh, the guy's not messaging me back. Should I go meet him? I know we can't meet, but I'm getting anxious because I'm not getting any sort of conversation out of this. Like, what should I do? What should I do? So a lot of panic and a lot of worry. So I was practicing methods to help women relax and to calm down and to self-regulate. So as I was, practicing methods and teaching women how to do certain breathing methods, the problem was they were too complicated. So if you would say breathe in for 4, hold for 6, breathe out for 8, hold for 16, they wouldn't do it. They would forget. They would say it's too complicated. Did you do the breathing technique on the next coaching session? Oh no, I forgot. Oh, it was it was the furthest thing from my mind. I'm sorry about that. I said, but you knew it worked when we did it on the phone, when we did it in a coaching call. Yeah, but it's not part of my lifestyle. Oh, I couldn't remember it. I was getting all flustered and things like this. So I thought, let me simplify it. Let me make it super simple for as many people as possible. So the 3-3 method is really simple, it's elegant, it's soft, it's gentle. And if you can count to 3, 1, 2, 3, if you can count to 3, you can do this. And there's no one I've come across from the thousands of people that we've trained now. There's no one who says, no, I can't count to 3.
My 4-year-old can count to 3, so I think we're okay on this call.
Exactly. And we've actually tested it with 5-year-olds. The lowest range we've tried it with is 5-year-olds in schools, all the way up to 85-year-old men and women. And it works perfectly across the board for all of this entire age range. So the 3-3 method is simple, it's elegant, it's soft. It can be done sitting upright, it can be done lying down. It could be done in a chair. If you've got a recliner chair and you want to relax and you want to, get into the parasympathetic nervous system. So when I realized it works and it works for everybody, I thought, yeah, this is good.
This is really interesting to me because, on this podcast we talk a lot about self-care, right? It's personal development, self-care, intellectual growth, but we talk a lot about those self-care points. So, I've always already extensively talked about the benefits of walking and meditation and journaling, those sorts of things. Now, the reason I'm really excited here and interested is because I don't have necessarily a routine around breathing today. So, like, whatever you share with me today is going to kind of advance whatever it is that I'm doing. So I'm not doing anything today. So I think firstly, from my own interest and curiosity, I'm really interested to see what it is. What do you think is the benefit of this or these breathing exercise? What does it give you?
Well, you see, the interesting thing is, um, it's all about human evolution. It's all about unlocking. There's certain things in your brain that you've never accessed before. It's not that you don't have the potential, you do. Everybody does. But you've never been taught how to access this capacity, this hidden capacity, which is all locked up in your brain. So the benefit of this is that when you release hormones from your brain, endorphins, for example, which reduce bodily pain, serotonin and dopamine, which are happy, feel-good hormones, when you release these into your bloodstream through breathing methods, the benefit becomes obvious after a very short period of time. If you do it for a day, even in the minute that we will hopefully do on this podcast, you'll start to see, oh, so that's what meditation really is. That's what an altered state of mind really is. And I didn't use DMT. I didn't use marijuana. I didn't use peyote or, ayahuasca. This was all 100% natural. But yeah.
I say that's interesting because I think about this a lot actually, and because I've got a history with getting involved with as much as I could have in my past, and like if I think about why did I get high and why did I try everything so regularly in my past years, it's really to kind of have a different experience, escape myself, be somewhere else, etc., etc., feel good in the moment. And as I've got older, I was just sharing earlier that I've decided to quit alcohol altogether, and I've only tried to get healthier. And as I've got healthier, I feel like I've been able to tap into like a higher level of being, almost like as if when I was high on something else, to try and almost achieve that as a natural state. And it almost sounds like ridiculous or unachievable, but I think it's beginning to align to the sorts of things that you're talking about. And I think people can feel amazing, but I kind of feel like the system, and I say the system, I mean commercialism, stops us from getting there.
It goes deeper than that, Simon. And I think people have to become aware that they're stuck in a system which is very insidious, actually. Because even if you look at the education system and the healthcare system, there'll be a lot of people watching this who are probably going, yes, yeah, bring it out, tell the truth. And it's been long overdue that, people are suffering unnecessarily just because they don't know certain things. And by the time they know them too late in life, it's too late to benefit and they die. So that's why when you see, visionaries and entrepreneurs, they're always looking to interact with schools and young children to impress upon their minds that there's a lot more possible for you than what the system currently makes you believe. So the school system, the education system is based on the Rockefeller model, which is designed to make you a consumer and have debt and be part of that cog. And it's not for you to be free. It's not for you to fulfill your potential. So unless you start thinking things for yourself independently, you're never going to be free from the system.
Interesting. Do you feel then with this breathing technique, it's going to help people to become freer, to live a better life?
Absolutely, because like what you were saying earlier, why did you look at these escapes and you tried things, maybe psilocybin, maybe magic mushrooms, different people go on retreats to do ayahuasca and things like that. Why? Because intuitively, as we all have intuition, we're all human beings, we all know there is something more than what we've been fed in society. But what is that? How do we access it? Where is it? It's a lifelong quest, isn't it? People go to Bali and do special rituals. They go to yoga retreats in Chiang Mai or Goa, or they do martial arts. They do anything to try to get that expansiveness of perception, which removes you from the boring humdrum existence of materialistic life. But you know there's more.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've done mushrooms quite a few times during my life, and you the overwhelming feeling after doing mushrooms is we're part of something bigger, and it, that and I remember mushrooms is different to any other drug, if you even call it a drug. I'm not too sure, but it's a different experience because for the next week you feel
Yeah,
amazing, and you feel like, well, like that was my experience. I've done it a few times, and I feel like, oh, the world's in a certain place, and I have this freedom, and I know better about who I am now and where I'm going, and then that was for my earlier years, and now what I'm looking for personally is how do I access that without the
yeah,
mushrooms, and how do I access that through personal health, through routines, through meditation, and maybe it's a perfect time for us to try.
absolutely. We can certainly do this. Um, so this is it's a very simple, easy method. It's nice and gentle, and it's soft. There's no emphasis on, for example, the Wim Hof practices are quite vigorous through the mouth. And, we love Wim Hof. We followed his story for years. There's other people that we follow as well. But we've actually coached a few people who've done Wim Hof religiously for years. And they've actually started posting videos on social media to tell them, hang on a minute, there's something which is different, but doesn't require cold exposure, doesn't require you to feel uncomfortable at all. It's very gentle, it's very relaxing. Even kids can do it. Even elderly people can do it. So if they can do it, then what about the vast majority of people, from the age of, say, 20 to 50? Of course they can definitely do it, right? So this method requires, I'll walk you through the short form of it so you get a good, a decent understanding of it. So first what we do, Simon, is we check our nostril flow. Okay? So we block the left nostril and breathe out once through the right. And then block the right and breathe out once through the left. And get a sense of the ratio. Is it 50-50? Is one open more than the other?
I'd say it's 50-50.
Okay, perfect.
I think so.
And how would you say you feel on a scale of 1 to 10 right now? 1 being you feel terrible, 10 being you feel amazing.
I feel pretty good, if I'd be honest, but I that's because I'm recording a podcast, which is something I love doing. So, and I'm in a nice, safe, happy, warm place. So I'd say if I'm not 10, I'm definitely a 9. I'm definitely as good as I could feel right now.
Okay, great. So for this method, you breathe in 3 parts through the nose and then 3 parts out of the mouth with an elongated exhalation on the third exhale. Okay, so I'll show you how it goes.
Okay.
So it's 3 times through the nose and then 3 times out of the mouth. Can you try that for me?
I certainly can. I might do it slightly away from the microphone so I don't upset anyone. There you are.
Okay, so the third inhale through the nose, it doesn't have to be long. So it's equal parts through the nose. So, and then the emphasis on the long exhales on the last out breath through the mouth. A bit more open the mouth so it comes from the back of the throat. It's like, it's like you're saying ha ha ha, like you're laughing, but without the vocals.
Okay. Who said anyone can do this? Right, let's go.
Bit more ha ha.
Ha. Right, I'm going to get the ha. Right.
Nice and gentle from the back of the throat.
Okay.
Ha ha ha.
Ah. Is that too much?
Yeah. Open the mouth a slight bit. Yeah. Yeah. Better. Much better. Exactly. All right. So we'll do that for 1 minute. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you'll see what happens. But we'll keep the eyes closed throughout the whole process so you can feel the energy, what's happening within yourself.
Okay. And you'll tell me when
Yeah.
the minute's done. So I'll
Yeah.
just keep going.
So I'll put a countdown timer. 3, 2, 1, and go. Okay, good. Stop there. Keep your eyes closed, Simon, and just relax. And just gently feel what's happening within. Just relax. Okay, when you're ready, Simon, keep your eyes closed. Tell me what you notice and how you feel.
I'm trying to find a way of describing
Mm-hmm.
it. I definitely feel whole.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good way of describing it. I feel whole and I feel warm
Mm-hmm.
inside and I feel
Mm-hmm.
connected,
Mm-hmm.
free.
Very good.
Feel
Good.
good. Feel very good.
Do you feel any cool sensations anywhere around your nose, your sinuses, your forehead, your top of your head, around your body anywhere?
Do I feel cool? I think so, yeah. The little tips, like tips of my
Mm-hmm.
fingers. Sorry, now I'm bringing attention to it. So tips of my fingers feel cool. My knees feel cool,
Mm-hmm.
cold. Uh, my nose a bit cold, cool.
And have you noticed your heart rate slow down a bit?
Yeah, yeah. My heart's lower. My heart rate's lower for sure.
Mm-hmm. And in this modern helter-skelter world with so much, you know, stress and anxiety and mental chatter that a lot of people have you found the sort of monkey mind mental chatter decrease a bit?
Certainly, yeah, absolutely. I've clarity. I have a clear mind since we've been doing this. No, I've been more in
Yeah.
flow, more in flow. So until you asked me to bring
Mm.
attention to my mind, I wasn't thinking about
Good.
my mind.
Good. Do you feel a growing sense of awareness, expansion of being beyond the body? Do you feel a sense of that?
Yeah, maybe that's the thing that I'm struggling to
Mm-hmm.
describe because it's maybe a new feeling, but I almost wanted to say this is how I feel on mushrooms.
Exactly.
Where you kind of adjust your being, but there's something
That's right.
bigger. You just feel,
That's right.
you feel
That's
something
right.
more.
Now, if you consider you've only done this for 60 seconds, right? How does it compare with other methods you may have tried in the past, like breathing method?
Yeah, I haven't tried too much breathing, and this is why I was so interested in chatting to you. Is that I knew there was some value to be unlocked there, but I haven't necessarily spent a lot of time doing it. So I'm not sure how it compares, but I can tell you that you've certainly changed my state within a very quick
Yep.
period of time. And I came into, I've had some anxiety. I've got a brand new baby, by
Mhm.
the way, brand new baby who's a week old.
Congratulations.
And I've been thinking, thank you. And I've been thinking a lot about my dad
Yeah.
responsibilities. And I must say, I've kind of with my mind being clear really quickly. That's made a
Mhm.
difference to clearing my mind and me feeling a bit more
Yeah.
relaxed and having just kind of a
Mm.
warm, fuzzy
Yeah.
feeling inside.
Good. Now, um, on a scale of 1 to 10, how surprised are you at how quickly this worked? 1 being not at all surprised and 10 being very surprised.
I don't think I'm surprised because I felt like it would
Mm.
work. I kind of like lent into the conversation thinking that I just know that there's untapped potential here, and I think breathing is an answer. So I think it's a journey I'm going on to try and
Mm.
learn,
Mhm.
and so I wouldn't say I'm
Mhm.
surprised, but I am impressed. Not sure if that's
Yeah.
the right word. Impressed or excited about the
Yeah.
potential of how quickly you can change my
Yeah.
state. And I'm thinking like now I'm starting to think a bit more openly about how can I
Mm.
use this. Well, I sometimes have a bit of anxiety in the
Mhm.
evenings, going home to the family. There's a lot to do. There's de-stress from
Mhm.
work, and I'm thinking if I just do a quick exercise like
Mhm.
this, would that improve
Yeah.
my evenings? Would it improve how I
Yeah.
show up? And obviously the cost is zero and the time is nothing.
Exactly.
So so for something to change my state so
Mhm.
rapidly without having a cold shower, which is clearly painful, like I'd say this is a very good
Yeah.
method.
So what we do is when we help people like lawyers, teachers, psychotherapists, doctors, the NHS have used this as well. They were amazed at how quick and how simple it was. That it is. We walk people through. You just did 1 minute, but we do 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes on our private one-to-one sessions.
Is it okay to
Yeah,
open my eyes?
absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. Wow, that was great. That was great. So your mission is to teach, educate, help. I feel a bit now. I'm looking back at the room. I feel a bit
Yeah.
fuzzy.
That's normal. It's normal. It's quite easy to accustom yourself after you get used to it. After a couple of days, your body quickly accustoms to it.
Oh, in a good way, by the way. That wasn't in a negative. I was just like, so sometimes if you go for a run and runner's high, you kind of I actually look for that after going for a run or even just an extended walk, and you can sometimes look up and things look and feel
That's
a bit
right.
different. And I'd say I probably achieved that without having to do an hour run.
Exactly. So when there's, for example, corporate clients that we coach, there was a woman in a very high-stressed corporate lawyer in Dublin. She has a lot of presentations to do daily with her business partners, and they're usually very highly stressed. She has to be very particular about her numbers and spreadsheets and discussing plans. And she said when she does this method, she does it for 1 or 2 minutes before the meeting. And the strange thing is, like, in the Matrix, when we have bullet time and everything slows down, she says everything slows down and people just start nodding their head in agreement with me. They go like this. And she says, what happened? I said, because you're in flow state and people know you feel genuinely good, everything tends to go in your favor. because your emotions are lined up and there's no conflict within yourself because your emotions are harmonized with your natural flow. And if you do this for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, you only compound the effect, and you make your decisions in flow state, and everything flows according to how you want it to go.
Is this what you mean by when people say you're raising your vibration or raising your energy, or is that what's happening
Exactly.
there?
Your frequency. Yeah,
Your frequency, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
Wow. So how are people using this in everyday lives? Is this about improving their state? Is it about finding peak performance? Is this improving relationships? How do you think people, maybe it's all of the above, how are people using this method to improve their lives?
This is where it becomes such a fascinating, sort of Friday night conversation, or any night conversation, or any day conversation. It's where you say, for example, if a person's sick and they go to a doctor, they could be prescribed various prescriptions, this, that, whether they work or not, we don't know. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But human beings run off energy, period.
Oh
So
yeah,
if you
sure.
can grab their fundamental life energy, without breath, you wouldn't be here, you'd be dead. So if you can grab that energy and regulate it in such a way that it serves you, whether you're a busy mum or a busy dad at home looking after kids, or whether you are a corporate person in Google or Apple or, Tesla or whatever, making high level decisions, when you're in this gentle, natural flow state and life feels effortless, it can apply to anyone in whatever profession you're in. It doesn't matter. So, you could be, as mentioned, a busy parent, a corporate person, an entrepreneur, a politician, movie star. In Hollywood, we've trained a few movie stars, and between takes, they don't get much time if they have to reshoot a particular scene because the director wasn't happy. So they don't have the luxury to disappear for half an hour and come back. They need to be ready when the director needs them. So how do I get back into flow state? I was really anxious. I was worried. My performance wasn't the best. Like, what do I do? So we walk them through this 1 minute, 2 minute process. Oh, I feel good now. Everything's fine. Everything's flowing. Okay. I can visualize. But,
That's interesting. So this is a way of accessing flow state very quickly, isn't it? So, because I was definitely in flow state then, which is something I think about a lot of, like, how do I access flow state more? That's one of the conscious things that I think about a lot, which is how do I design my day so I'm more in flow. Now, one of the easy answers for me is that I love being in conversations like this. So a lot of my day is designed around having these types of conversations and training and those sorts of things. But interestingly, you can use this to kind of take away that mind chatter, be in flow, and be fully present very quickly.
the mental chatter here, the monkey mind. Yeah,
Yeah.
dial it down. Yeah,
And then these actors, they're trying to they're trying to become the character, become the character as quickly as they possibly can. And I suppose that will take away the mental chatter, and then they can get into delivering their lines or delivering the
correct,
scene.
correct. And if they're very anxious, like, they may have personal problems at home. A lot of them do, especially in Hollywood, even Bollywood as well. Bollywood's a massive film industry too. So they can do it for 2 minutes. We walk them through it for 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and completely the mental chatter goes away. And they're able to visualize and focus and previs, and everything is just, again, back into flow, and they can do the scene. And after that, they can get back into 1 or 2 minutes, get self-regulated again. Absolutely fine.
Yeah. So really, it's a message to anyone who's just looking to live their best life in some respects, whether you're showing up to work, you're going home to your family, you're an actor, you're a football player, you're whatever. If you're trying to access peak performance very quickly, then this is going to alter your state and achieve flow state very quickly.
Exactly. Exactly. So, David Beckham, Ronaldo, if you're watching, you can um, you don't necessarily have to do the cold plunges because I know they do those kinds of things as well. But this is an easy, gentle method. Corporately, if you imagine you're working for a high stress environment company, maybe it's Google, maybe it's Apple, or whichever, Microsoft. If you do this corporately, everyone gets into flow. There's very little conflict then because everyone genuinely feels happy and peaceful. So,
I
yeah,
love that.
yeah,
I love
because
that.
if you feel happy and peaceful, you don't want anyone to take that away from you. So you don't feel like you want to fight anyone. And neither does anyone else because they're in flow state as well.
So let's play that out because I work for Oracle, which is a corporate aligned to Microsoft, SAP, etc. So one of the I think we're the second biggest software vendor in the world outside
Yeah,
of Microsoft, something like that. It's a
yeah,
lot. It's big either way. So and we play high stakes games. We negotiate multi-million-pound contracts on a daily
mm,
basis. Um, and because of that, there's stress and there's anxiety. There's leadership have got numbers. We've all got numbers. If we were to bring this into our corporate world, how do you think that would change the conversation around in the boardroom and on the leadership table?
dramatically. Because, as mentioned, our mission is global. Even though we're British, Keep Fit Kingdom is British. We have very much an international um, aim. So when we work with the fundamentals of energy, we know that flow state affects every individual. And then when you're in a company or a corporation or an organization, everybody genuinely feels good. And when you're in flow state, your creativity is heightened. There's less distractions and static from within yourself because you're not fighting yourself anymore. And when you're not fighting yourself, everything is just flowing as it naturally should. And I would make sure that if your team is 10, 12, 50, 100, make sure they all follow the sequence as given. And because we've done it so many times, I can see when they're actually in flow state or if they're trying to, fudge it. And the good thing is everyone naturally wants to be happy and helpful and feel good. They want to sleep well at night. When you've had conflicts in the day because of your ego or because of your competitive mindset, you don't necessarily feel good when you go to bed. And you wake up and you realize, oh, I've got to fight this all over again. It's not quality of life, you know? So for your family, for example, if you got your wife to do this, and when your child is 3 or 4 years old, you get them to do it, everyone's going to be flowing and there's going to be less resistance.
Interesting. I was thinking actually, definitely, there's two things I was thinking. Firstly, I just want to think about how scientifically how it works because from the meditation work that I've done, I'm going to completely screw this up if I explain this. But there's different parts of the brain, right? So you have the fight or flight part of the brain, and then you have the part of the brain which is far more creative. And I'm right in saying so. Therefore, the thing that I learned through meditation was that because I remember going to a coach at one time said I always feel like because I'm in sales and there's always a sales target and there's always a thing to do. It's like I always feel like, and the way I described that was I was always in fight or flight. And over that coursing that coaching period, I was able to access a part of my brain which I was never really accessing, or I hadn't accessed for. The only time I could remember it was from when I was a teenager, when I kind of would just play, and I would call that flow. But there's a creative part of the brain which then is because most of the times we're not being chased by lions and tigers anymore, right? So actually that part of the brain is useless at most of the time. the fight or flight, or we're in danger. It's actually about accessing the creative part
Mm.
of our mind, which is flow
Mm.
state, which is what we just done, and then you have all the great feelings that go with
Right.
it. What do you know about how it impacts the brain and how that works?
It's a great question. I could tell you that there's so many things that are just remarkable when you study yoga properly, carefully, systematically. You begin to realize the system that you're in, unfortunately, you don't know much about yourself as a human being. You really don't. And I think every human being is curious and they need to know things. So when it comes to learning about these things, you have to understand what's happening. So, for example, per your question, when you do this breathing method, you're actually releasing those powerful hormones in your brain. So endorphins, which lower pain, the feeling of pain, perception of pain, and it's very real because if someone gives you an anesthetic, for you, it's real that you don't feel anything. It's very real. The pain is gone. It's cancelled. So in the same way, when you access the hormones in your brain, so the endorphins relieve pain, or they're pain relieving hormones, the serotonin and dopamine are also being released into your bloodstream in tiny amounts, very, very small amounts. That's all you need. You don't need much. When people have done this method with us, they're able to wean off morphine, for example. Yeah,
Wow.
bit by bit, week by week, when they use this method, they realize, I feel great. I didn't take morphine today. I only took half a dose. And the doctors, they come back, we get this back and forth. They go to the doctors, say, doctors, they'll only allow 1 mil reduction a month. What? No, I want to reduce 10 mil a month. Because we're working with a person with MS right now, and he takes 80 mil morphine each time. So he's reducing it by 10, 20, 30 because he genuinely feels that he doesn't need it. So it not only releases serotonin and dopamine, it also activates the vagus nerve, which is behind the throat, behind the face, and in the gut. So alluding to what you were saying earlier about the freeze, fight, flight, yeah, that's a sympathetic nervous system. Then you've got the parasympathetic nervous system, which hardly in this busy modern world, people don't celebrate that much. I've only recently, after the pandemic, started to realize more self-care, more meditation, more relaxation, things like that. So people are deliberately looking for wellness, and for the first time in history, people are spending 6 trillion a year on wellness and only 2 trillion a year on big pharma.
That's
Yeah,
incredible.
huge demand for it. Yeah.
Where can people find out more about you, the things that you're doing, and kind of get engaged with? Because I feel like this is the tip of the iceberg. So, what's behind this? What in addition is behind
So,
this?
we're helping people in all different scenarios. They could be busy business people. They could be stressed out. People on lots of meds. People who are addicts even. So what they do, they go to our website, keepfitkingdom.com, right? And they can click there. There's a tab that says 3-3 products. So the 3-3 as in the 3-3 Metaverse Breathing Method. They click that. They can read all the information about it. There's testimonials, there's video testimonials, there's the NHS on there, top class athletes, all kinds of people doing this method. And they read that. They can ask us questions. We've got WhatsApp tied into the website, so people can just ask us questions there or come via WhatsApp. They can email us. There's a tutorial bundle on there, which they can click and buy and download it. And they will have an animated tutorial walking them through the process step by step. So if you want to put it on your smartphone or your desktop or your tablet, you can just click play before you go to bed or whenever you want to, practice it. And it will just play, you just follow along. And people who want to do private one-to-one sessions with us, or they want to do corporate sessions, they just call us or email us, and then we can go through applications of how to use this in various scenarios.
It's been really interesting. I definitely could see the benefit in bringing it into the corporate world, but equally, I'm thinking about, there's two other times when I think maybe there's this, I can quickly bring this into my practice, which is just before going home. So I can kind of center myself in some respects before going to see the family. I'm a dad of two now, so with little Logan and Luca, who's 7 days old. So quickly going into the family environment, so I can definitely see the separation between work and then getting home. Like there's a moment there to kind of recenter, refocus, and improve how I'm going to show up, which I think would be great, to show up in a flow state and happy to see everyone. And I think also just before going to sleep. So I think after the busy day and the children, I think it's about then re-centering and refocusing again just before rest. Would you say that's the sort of thing that we can bring this in just before rest?
Well, I've
Sleep?
got something quite interesting, if not remarkable, to tell you about that. Yeah.
Please.
And have you got a wife or partner? Yeah.
Wife? Yeah, wife. Yeah.
What you could do is have your wife practice it, because just like you, like me, she's a human being. So she has hormones in her brain,
Yeah.
and she has the stresses from the kids. So if she's dialed into flow state and you are dialed into flow state, your family is going to be a heavenly home, right? And who wouldn't want that?
Yeah,
When I
absolutely.
do coaching with men and women, and mostly women, but they sometimes bring their partners into it because they don't know how to communicate with them. They don't know how to reconcile differences. They don't know how to resolve conflicts. So I've dealt with untold numbers of situations like that where they just can't get on the same page. But then I sit them down very gently, walk them through the breathing method, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that could work. Would you like to try that?" "Yeah, okay, that sounds reasonable. Okay, let's do that." So make sure they both get into flow state. And now they're a lot more open and creative with how they can reconcile their differences.
I love that. I love that, because I think if you brought that into a conversation with your partner, so if you're both stressed from the day, or there's something difficult that's gone on during the day, the worst thing you can possibly do, in my experience, is to kind of bring all of that with you and,
Dump
you
it on
know,
them.
yeah, like, and I'm always personally quite mindful of is just how does she feel about whatever it is I'm about to say. So I'm always thinking about, or how is someone going to receive this information? But I think so. Therefore, in some respects, I kind of would suppress a lot of my communication to make sure it's above the line, I suppose, in terms of communication. But I think by doing this, I would probably be thinking less about what I'm going to say and just be more open. Um, and in my experience with my wife, and I don't know if this is for every woman, is that my wife certainly prefers me to be more open, more vulnerable, share more about my feelings. I know I say they, my wife and her friends, sisters, sister, not just one, and then family, they will sit down talking about feelings, emotions all the time. Like, we've just had a baby, right? So this week we've had at least 5 female visitors, and most of the conversation is, how are you
Yeah.
feeling, to my wife. Like, so they will naturally have that discussion. Do you know what I got from my mate? Thumbs up. You've had a baby. Well done. Tell me about it when we go down the pub in
You,
6 months.
it's like, yeah,
So I think this is a great thing to bring in, to have so you can be a bit more open in talking to your loved ones
you, you know
in
how
whatever way.
much women, they just love it. When you, as a male, would present this to them, they will love you forever. I'm not kidding. Because why? Yeah,
Really?
because you say you suppress your emotions because you want them to be above the line or above board or whatever, right? But we're getting to an
Hmm.
age now where we're not supposed to suppress feelings. We're supposed to express them in a positive, creative way that is sensitive but still constructive. Gone are the days where industrial revolution, work like an ox and get nothing for it. We moved into the communication age where everything is a lot more, communication, discussion, possibilities. Now we're moving into the emotional, um, uh, what's the word? Connectivity age, where we're connecting
Mm,
both reason and feeling. And men and women, no one is supposed to be suppressed. No one. Because
yeah,
you're not living your best life if you're suppressing yourself. However, suppression or expression does not mean that you're destructive or negative. There's a difference. So if you as a male present this to your wife and her friends came and you got them all to do this party trick for 1 minute or 2 minutes, they will love you because they'll say, this man has taught us to get in touch with our feelings even more deeply and we feel amazing and he feels amazing. So plus plus a plus plus a plus equals exponential happiness and growth. There's nothing detracting from it. There's no static and there's no negativity. So I challenge you to present that to your wife, just one time or twice and see how she feels. And then she says, Simon, that's genius. Like, this is and then she'll tell her friends and they'll come back to you and say, Simon introduced this and then come back. We do another podcast on the feedback.
I'm definitely going to give it a try. I'm definitely going to introduce it, and I've been talking to her quite a lot about meditation, and I think she gets on okay with it, but she doesn't get on with it the same way that I do. Um, but I feel like this could be something we can do together. I'll introduce it to her, and then just the idea of then before bed, sort of maybe we kind of get into flow state together. That's probably how it's, and then have a nice conversation about the day, or because we're both very reflective, we think about things deeply on what we want for each other, what we want for the family. We do talk extensively at that around those sorts of things. And I think definitely now with baby, it's we are constantly checking in. How are you doing? The majority of the conversation is how are you, because he's physically been through something very significant, as you can imagine. But also it's now, and now how does she recover from that? Because physically it's been tough. But I think this would be a wonderful thing to introduce mentally, to build. And I love what you said about there, just about building the emotion. Being more open, being more vulnerable, being able to share more. And I think my wife and I are always looking to become emotionally more connected. Always, like I think that's just our natural state. We want to always be closer.
Beautiful, yeah.
And this feels like a great way. Yeah, it feels like a great way
I'll
of doing
tell you
so.
a couple of interesting things that I think you'll find humorous. You could mention it with your wife as well. Did she have a midwife helping her when she was giving birth?
Yes, very
Yeah.
much so. Yes, very
Now,
much.
in the
Yeah.
UK, they have this, they call it, I think it's called the hee-ho. So you do the hee-ho breath when a woman's giving birth. But funnily enough, after the woman's given birth, the most significant part of life, like giving birth, after that, they never tell you about breathing methods after that. It's just only for the baby. I'm like, hang on, I'm still living as a human. Yeah, but it doesn't matter now. You've given birth, so that's fine. So they do the hee ho. We do the ha ha ha. They do the hee ho. We do the ha ha ha. Also, I want to answer your question when you talked about sleep just now. People who have insomnia, they do this method, and within 30 to 90 seconds, they fall asleep.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
And they say to us, oh, we've had, insomnia for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, Raj. We take pills for sleeping. And they do this method for 30 to 90 seconds and they fall asleep like a baby. And they don't wake up for 6 hours. And when they do wake up, they say, that's the deepest, most refreshing sleep I've ever had since I was a kid.
That's
Yeah.
wild. That is wild.
So I would strongly recommend, as you said before, you could do the 3-3, have a chat with your wife, and then when you go to bed, if you do the 3-3 when you're lying down, you'll drift off, and your sleep will be heavenly, literally.
Well, it's interesting because I talk on this podcast a lot about sleep and how to focus on improving your sleep because of the unbelievable benefits of how you then show up the next day and how you feel the next day. So anything that enhances the quality of sleep is just like, let's do it. Because I think it's as we become more aware, more conscious of the things that actually make a true difference to how you're feeling, how you are, and that huge impact that sleep has, anything that's going to improve it even further is pretty critical, I'd say. So I guess, yeah, absolutely, yes, let's add that in.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's energy. It's about when you sleep deeply and you sleep well, you're recharged. You have maximum energy, maximum cognition, maximum emotional bandwidth as well. So you can handle the challenges of the day. You even actually enjoy your day because you have a huge reserve of energy backing you up.
How are you looking to promote this, Raj? You mentioned this is global, this is a business. We've only spoke for a short period of time, and in those 2 or 3 minutes, I think you've basically brought in something that I can take forward into my life with my wife, and that could have a significant impact. I'm excited to see where this goes. What's the journey for you with this moving forward to impact more people?
We're very open to collaborate with people who have podcasts like yourself, and people who are already in the health and wellness space, people who are in the optimization, human performance, and human potential. So we're looking to raise awareness with more podcasts, more social media, more private corporate sessions, private one-to-one sessions with all types of people. We're also going to bring out a book and hopefully do a TED Talk, hopefully this year. So yeah, we're looking at various ways that match the message of what we're doing, and feel free if you feel like there's other podcasters or other people you feel would benefit from it. Feel free to do the link ups or make the connections, or we're very open to it.
Well, I think I'd definitely love to see this on a TED Talk. I'd love to see how this works with an audience, and what sort of feedback you get from doing it from that audience-based setting. I think that would be great as a TED Talk. And then if you give some kind of reasons why everyone suddenly, because I just think about this, how connected people would feel, like with total strangers, and I wonder how that would change a conversation they would have with a stranger next to them. So I do this exercise, which is really about walking, but like if I journal before walking, then journal after walking, the significant difference. So if you're not feeling too good that day, or maybe you're feeling a bit low or whatever, so journal firstly. So why? What's there? Then go for a 20-minute walk, then journal again, and you'll notice that any negative feeling that you had, you'll come back and suddenly, hang on, I feel optimistic, I feel hopeful, I feel better. Right? All I did was do a 20-minute walk. So we can naturally change our state so easily once you start to learn the strategies and the tools and the insights of how to do it. So I'd love to see, it'd be really interesting if you kind of on that TED Talk maybe ask someone to chat to each other first, and I bet they would be closed and reserved. Hi, my name's X and I'm from this, and it would be very surface level conversation. Then you do the exercise, and I wonder where the conversation would go, because I bet it would go somewhere about a universal feeling of consciousness. Yeah. It's as if we're all That's high. Right. As if we're all high. And I think that would be the interesting revelation, where someone has tapped into a part of themselves, as if we've all done some mushrooms.
That's right.
Or something.
All the inhibitions, exactly as you said, son. All the inhibitions drop away. Yeah. And we're like, oh, we can hug each other. We can do a high five. We can do a thumbs up. I don't feel awkward about it. Like, relax, you know? So I think human beings as children, you know how they don't put distinctions between if you're from a different culture or a different race. They just like feeling good and they like to see others feel good. You get back into that state
Mm.
and you do the same as an adult. Imagine what difference we could make in the world if we all did that.
Indeed. Well, listen, I love Raj. I love the work you're doing. I absolutely love it. And I'm certainly going to go home and give it a try tonight. And I think I've learned something today which I can take into my daily practice. I said at the beginning I was looking for something additional which was quick from a breathing perspective, which I've been thinking about for a while because I knew that I kind of could feel like there was something missing, and maybe you filled that gap. So I really
You're
appreciate it.
very welcome. Yeah, looking forward to see how it all goes for you.
Thank you. Thanks, Raj. I appreciate
You're
your
welcome.
time, and what a wonderful podcast. I
Thank you.
appreciate
Take
it.
care. Cheers.